And let us stand for a pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You be seated. It's the county administrator, all yours.
All right, it come up on y'all's monitors then? You see the,
And we see the starry lights.
you see, oh, you got a starry night. Oh, yeah, I got one right here. So, Glenn, I guess I'm gonna have to share, you probably gonna have to help me here.
Your desktop.
You take over. All right. Yep, there we go. All right. All right. I can make that a little bit bigger. All right, well, I mean, this isn't anybody's first rodeo, so you all have seen this before. The left column is FY25, which you all approved last year. Our fund balance, that's the audited number. That was a little bit lower than what we had projected. You'll recall from the January meeting. You'll see where it ends up. The fund balance at the end of the year of FY25, $4,815,368. That gets transferred over to the FY26 column. And you'll see we've got some increases in revenue projected, then some increases in expenses in the different departments. We'll go through them. There is a decrease in the debt service this year, or FY26, and that's because one of the notes reduces from $1 million payment per year down to $200,000 per year. So it's about an $800,000 reduction in debt service based on that. The fund balance at the end of the year is projected at 6.12%. The board several years ago established a policy to not let that get below 7%. So, you know, in order to increase the fund balance, you've either got to increase revenues or decrease expenses.
What's the number we need to be at to not have to borrow money?
It would be $3,272,093. You're $410,844 short.
To not have to borrow money to get through the year?
Yeah. For revenue anticipation.
Yeah, to not have to go back to that process again.
Yeah, so. This budget is built assuming no increase in the tax rates. You know, as I usually do as we move along and during the process, I'll give you this synopsis page and what it would look like with penny increases on the real estate tax. It still holds the personal property tax at 204, and this budget is built with a 55-cent real estate tax rate. 1 penny on the tax rate is $382,261. 382,261.
And what did you say our shortage was on?
410,844. So it's a little bit more than a penny.
A little bit more than a penny.
Yep. And like I said, you either got to increase revenues, i.e. raise taxes, or decrease expenditures.
And that's just to be at the break-even point on the bare
7,
minimum of
on the
getting
7%.
through.
Yeah. This budget assumes a 3% across the board raise for all full-time employees to match what the school system has done. I will tell you that the EMS portion of that is Matt has requested 5%, and I'm okay with that because EMS are more hourly employees than salary employees. You know, and ever since he has been chief, he's managed that department being at least 2 full-time people down. It's just, you know, the pool that all the counties around here draw from is so small and so limited that, you know, we aim to keep the ones we have, and we have, based on, you know, providing raises and being good about the health insurance, not passing on any increases to the employees. So So that's the one exception to the 3% raise across the board, is that the EMS is a 5%, but as I said, they are more hourly employees than salary.
How about, and then gonna get any pushback from all the departments that,
I don't believe so. I mean, that's, we've actually had that scenario in past years, and it hasn't happened, so. Of course, the state is given a 3% across the board increase. 44% of our full-time employees have some reimbursement through the comp board. 56% are totally locally funded. The one abnormality this year for the county is our health insurance actually had an increase this year. It's the first time, well, I mean, pretty healthy increase. It was actually 10%. Let me give you a little bit of background on this. I mean, we went with the local choice back in 2014, I think it was. Every year since then, we've had either no increase, or very small increase, or I know one year there was a 1% decrease. Our renewals have always been less than the schools, and I always thought about the schools joining with the county, and it would help the premium renewals on the school side. What happened this year was the state went back out to bid for the provider, and Anthem is the service provider, has been and will be with the new award. What I wasn't aware of that I found out was that under the old award that Anthem had, organizations that had less than 100 employees, there was a 10% subsidy built into the award built into the renewal under the old award. When the state went back out to bid, and the bids came back in, Anthem took that 10% subsidy away in the new award for organizations that have less than 100 employees. So that's where the 10% has come from. I really, I don't want to pass that along to the employees. It's been a real good thing for us to recruit and retain employees, to not pass health insurance increases on. And what I've done in this budget is, previous budgets, I have always budgeted for, if every position that was vacant or new, I budgeted for that, all positions to be filled all during the year. And what I've come to realize is that that's just unrealistic. And that every filled position would participate in our health insurance program. And that's just unrealistic. For instance, last year we budgeted for 95 positions to participate in our health insurance program. We've averaged 78 participants over the years under the local choice program. So what I've done with this budget, I dropped the number of employees from 95 to 85 in this budget. That accounts for the increase. So this budget reflects the 10% increase in health insurance, but it's offset by reducing the number of employees down to 85. That gives me a 7-position cushion because, as I said, we've averaged 78 participants who actually participate in our health insurance benefits. So by reducing the number of position or employee positions that would be applicable to the health insurance from 95 to 85, I've equalized that increase.
Have we looked at rebidding our health insurance, other options, or?
No. I mean, it's too late in the game for that, obviously, for this year. And as I said, the local choice is the premium. It's the way to go. And the schools are on local choice. The only difference is they have a different agent. And as I said, this is the first year. Every year, our renewals have been better.
Have we ever looked at a combined rate of looking at us all together?
Well,
in the government?
Jessica and I have talked about that, and we're going to look at that for next year.
Future.
Yeah.
Just to see what it is anyhow.
Yeah, and see, once you get over that 100 employee, you can offer 3 plans. If you're less than 100, you offer 2 plans, which is what we do. The school actually offers 3 because they're more than 100 employees. And the local choice, instead of relying on air renewals based on, just air pool history of our 78 people who participate, we are grouped in the pool of state participants, which is over 40,000. So that helps with the renewal. So that's the one bad point this year on the.
And what was that total cost increase?
It's right at $100,000. The total cost at 78 folks is going from $776,544 to $884,064. But as I said, last year I budgeted for 95 employees, and that total was like $935,000. This budget shows a total health insurance line at $930,000. So I'm still budgeting for more than what the increase will show.
So how many did we have under coverage last?
78. 78. And this budget accounts for 85. So that gives me a seven position cushion. And you never have every position filled at the same time. Not everybody participates in the program. Some people may be old enough to have Medicare. Some people may be on a spouse's plan. You never have everybody participate. And through, employee turnover, you never have the same plans from one year to the next. So this is just, a snapshot in time of where we're at. But by reducing that number that we budget for, I've accounted for the increase that's shown. I've watched the increase. So we can come back to the synopsis at the end for any questions, but let's go to the revenue pages. You'll see here that I'm showing a little decrease in property taxes, and what that is from is the tax base, current tax base that this budget is built on is $3,822,609,600. That's a little bit less than the tax base at this time last year because of the Board of Equalization work that they did all during calendar year 2024. Their adjustments amounted to a little over $16 million in reductions. Now, during the course of the year, the Commissioner of Revenue's office also picks up improvements that are done during the course of the year through building permits. So that may end up being a wash. But I've reduced the real estate taxes to reflect the Board of Equalization actions there. Public service corporations, I'm estimating actually a little more. These are Commissioner of Revenue's estimates, and looking at FY25 to date, we've actually collected that much already for FY25. So I'm sticking with that number. Personal property is here. I mentioned that this budget doesn't reflect an increase in personal property tax rates, but the commissioner's records actually indicate that we are going to have an increase in the personal property taxes, and that's based on values and the information that she has in her system. And these numbers came from Marlon before she retired, so that it didn't get pushed off on Beth after she was appointed the interim. So these are Commissioner Revenue's estimates, and that's why they're included. Mobile home taxes and machinery and tools taxes, we're actually progressing towards FY25 levels more so than FY24 actuals. From the rest, most of the rest of the revenue numbers, I've relied on the FY24 actuals, which are in this column, and the FY24 actuals. FY25 estimates were in this column, and here's the FY26 estimates. So you can see as we go through here, most of my FY26 estimates will reflect more heavily on FY24 actuals. This one The sales and use tax, that is a state estimate that I just got by email yesterday. And so I put that in since that is a state estimate for sales and use tax. As I said, if you go through here, cigarette taxes, the lodging tax, you can see the short-term rental tax, how that has increased over the years. And so you see those numbers there. Building and land use permit fees. I've shown a $75,000 increase here over 2025. That's based on how our 2025 numbers are running. Based on FY25 to date, we're tracking at about $350,000 in building permits for FY25. So that's why I used that estimate there for FY26. Right here, revenue from use of money. This is interest earned on the proceeds that Bonnie invests. She does a really good job of investing excess money. Most of it is through the Virginia Investment Pool. And according to the way FY25 is tracking and the actual from FY24, which is right here, I believe that 675 is a good estimate. Revenue from use of property is mainly rental. We collect rent from the state for the health department building. That's what that is. Ambulance and rescue fees, that's the recovery amount that the county gets. The North Neck Planning District Commission sends out those bills, and this is, I think that's a good estimate based on FY24 actuals. Opioid money, we've got that setting in a separate account, but that's pretty fixed. As we add claimants to that list, this number will probably grow. Non-categorical aid, here's the personal property tax relief fund, that $871,000 right there. Here's categorical aid. This is the comp board reimbursements that we get for all of the constitutional officers plus the registrar. Haven't got those actual estimates yet from them, so what I did was I took the actuals from FY24 and added the 3% that the state is giving in a raise to come up with FY26 estimates. Victim witness grant, that's a $70,000 grant, state and federal money that pays for the entire program. Comprehensive Services Act, that is the program where kids who cannot go to a regular public school, but the county is responsible for educating them. A lot of them go to private day placements, and that's where this is reimbursement from the state. We get, I think it's 43% back from the state, and so that's heavily based on FY24 actuals. If anything jumps out at you and you have questions, let me know. Capital Projects Fund, this is the interest earned on the bond proceeds. You know, I've told you in the past that the balance, the unspent balance in the bond accounts, we earn interest on. And before the new school really got going with construction, we were earning a lot of interest on it, as reflected in FY24 with that $3.5 million in interest. As we continue to pay bills for that construction, the balance on the bond comes down, and so you'll be earning less in interest because you have a less balance there. And so that's why these numbers have been reduced.
Don,
Yeah.
you feel good about that personal property tax increase there? Because that's 2/3 of the total increase there.
Yeah, it's, historically, our actuals have been below what the commissioner has projected, but I put that in there. We'll look at
Okay.
that. We'll look at that a little closer. This is a working document, so we'll look at that a little closer. But you're right. History has shown that the actuals tend to run a little bit lower than her projections. Right here, the contribution to the general fund, from the general fund to schools. This is the verification that the schools have adopted local level funding. They do show some increase in their budget, but that's due to increased state and federal funding. Local funding is level from FY25 to FY26. From here on, these numbers are school numbers that they have provided for their estimates for FY26 versus FY25, and again, the actuals versus FY24. So, again, these are school numbers, and I've gone through them, but I don't see anything that raises any red flags in my mind. The school cafeteria fund shows a little bit of an increase this year. 574,000 versus 557 in FY25. Again, these are school numbers.
There's no possibility, because I was just, as you were going to explain, there's no possibility any of that federal government money might change for this fiscal year and a half.
Yeah. I don't know that I can answer that. I mean,
Paris today, none tomorrow.
Might not be anybody that can answer that.
exactly. I hear you, but I don't know that I can answer.
There may not be nobody there to answer it pretty soon.
You don't have the Elon Musk come by, let's be done.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we all have to wait and see.
Well, at the end of the day, we don't have the money until we actually spend it anyhow.
Yeah. So that's the revenue side. Any questions on that?
I guess the only thing that's surprising to me was the general property tax.
Yeah, well, a little bit reduction in the real property tax based on the Board of Equalization actions, and like I said, the commissioner's estimate on personal property taxes is increased over FY25, and actual FY24 was more than our estimate for FY25.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already collected more than that FY25 number for FY25. General government, this is, start out with the Board of Supervisors, no increase for you all, just same thing for FY26 that was there for FY25.
Must be an error in that column.
What's that, the,
911911.
County administration, that's my department. It reflects a 3% increase, as I mentioned. You'll see a decrease here in medical insurance. One thing I did, any department that had an unfilled position, I didn't count that $10,952 per year for that unfilled position. So I've got, as I said, 7 positions to play with. So if you see a negative in the medical insurance line, that's a dead giveaway that there's an unfilled position in that department. And the unfilled position in this department would be the recreation coordinator position. It's got myself, John, Betty, and that unfilled position. So What I did with the FY '26 estimates, I just based it heavily on FY '24 actuals, and you'll see the numbers fluctuate some, but works out to a $13,000 increase. County attorney holding that at $45,000. I think that's probably good. The auditor, the last contract that we did had an $800 per year increase, so that's reflected there. Commissioner of Revenue, again, this one's 3% raise, but you'll see a decrease under medical insurance. Beth was appointed as the interim Commissioner of Revenue. There will be an election in November to fill that spot. State code would not allow her to fill the deputy commissioner position. Because under state code, the highest ranking deputy in the office assumes the interim commissioner position. State code won't let her fill that, won't let you fill that deputy commissioner position, and the only thing we can figure is if someone else were to win the election, her job is still there.
Yeah.
So she can't fill that position, so I didn't, at least for half of the fiscal year. Once the election's over, probably best case scenario would be January 1.
Craig, when is the election deadline this year? You know yet?
I'm not sure.
What's that?
The election filing deadline.
Yes, I think it's June 17th. I saw it in the paper today.
Yeah, after tax season, I gotta get on that.
Yes. You and Mr. Smith both.
Yeah.
So wonder Susan hadn't contacted you.
No, I haven't heard anything.
She must just think we delinquent. She got to call us all the time. Send emails.
You'll see one big increase here on Beth's budget under contracted services. The Commissioner of Revenue last year had to replace their software that they use, and it wasn't by choice. It was because the software they were using was no longer available. And the annual maintenance plus cloud hosting, and what's the other one, Glenn? The public access has gone up, and that's reflected in that $31,000 increase. So. Treasurer, same thing, just reflects a 3% increase. She does have one increase right here under Education and Conference. Bonnie is going to be the president of the Virginia Treasurers Association. She's the president-elect, I believe, this year. And just as Jason was president of VACO, as president-elect and immediate past president, those folks are expected to go to several national conferences. And so she will be going to at least a couple national conferences this year in preparation for her term as president of the Virginia Treasurers Association. So she has increased her conference line there by $8,000. Now, the year in which she's president, the Treasurers Association will cover those expenses, just like when Jason was president. VACO took care of his president year, but for the year preceding and the year after, the county has to pick up some of that.
Don, you might have talked about it, and I was looking at something else and didn't take it in. What was the 31.1 in contracted services for the Commissioner's office increase?
That is the annual maintenance and the
Software.
cloud hosting and the, what is it, Glenn? What's the last one? Public access part of the new software package.
Okay.
The software package was, it was either $75,000 or $85,000 in the capital improvement budget last year. And that's supposed to be implemented this year by the end of the year.
Okay.
And so, yeah, there's an increase in that annual maintenance.
Software contracts, the ultimate cash cow.
It is.
That's what it is.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
So that's where that's what that is. Beth is willing to come and speak to you all. You know, I've explained where her increase is. Bonnie is also willing to come and speak to you all. I've explained where her major increase is. Is it the will of the board to have them come, or are you
I
okay
don't
with?
see no sense in them coming.
I mean, those are pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And in the supporting documentation online, which I uploaded today, they've got some narratives in there that will help explain it even more.
Okay.
So, all right, so I will let them know that, that they don't need to show up, so. Information technology, that's Glenn's department. There is an unfilled position there as well. You see the medical insurance line, an assistant for him. We'll work on that, because Glenn, he's telling me more frequently now that he's getting closer to retirement, so. So we're gonna have to work on getting that position filled. So,
Install one of those clocks on your desk that's counting down.
so, but again, a 3%, and then Glenn has reduced some line items there in his budget.
What drove down the website stuff, do you know?
What's that?
The website stuff went down?
Glenn has reduced that. You know, John we'll talk a little bit later on about an economic development website that the EDA is wanting him to get going on, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about that when we get to the economic development section.
Okay.
So, Glenn, was it any other reason why you reduced that line by $4,000? Website design? No. Okay.
Glenn, you don't need to come before the board either.
Electoral board, I will tell you that they did have a $113,000 line item in their proposed budget for relocation. And based on, you all saw the emails, and we had the test done, and it showed that there were more pollutants in the outside air than there were in the inside air. Anyway, Mr. Palin, Mr. Smith, and met with the registrar, her deputy, and two members of the electoral board about a month ago, talked through this, and bottom line is, you know, we made them aware that when the current high school becomes available, a logical move for them would be to move there, because during the early voting periods, this parking lot out here is full. And so it would just make more sense to have them relocate down there. They were fine with that, and we're working on that list of our remediation efforts to get everything good and clean down there for them, and then everything should be back to normal after that.
They still working piece of days or whatever.
that's
it is.
what-
Yeah, they still got 8:30 to 12:30.
Really?
Yeah. So, but, well, they're working full days. The office hours, the office is
Yeah.
only open 4 hours. So I did not reflect that 113,000 in that budget. I just took that out. But you'll see in the supporting documentation that it was in their original request. So, registrar, same thing, 3% increase. And, well, these columns get small. So you can see there is just about a $75,000 increase for general government. Any other questions on that? Courts. First line item is circuit court. That is not the circuit court clerk. This is actually the circuit court judge's office maintained in Northumberland. And I really have no estimate really for that. I get sent a bill in August from Northumberland that says this is your contribution to the judge's office. And so I've gone back through the years, and I've done my best guess there at 38,000. So we'll see where that comes in, but that's where we're at. General District Court, same as FY25. The drug court is something the board got into with other counties. It's a way to maybe keep people from going back through the system again and getting treatment without going through the law enforcement system and the judicial system.
Does the Commonwealth attorney keep up with that? How effective do we know that?
You know, he made the comment a year or so ago that we really didn't participate that much in it. And, you know, I don't know if, I really don't know any more about that at this point. Maybe we need to look at that some more too. So I'm just make a couple notes here, personal property tax and the drug court. Because like I said, this is a working document. So, juvenile and domestic relations, same as last year. Clerk of the Circuit Court, Diane actually spent a lot of time on her budget this year, and she moved some things around. She said that the way she had been doing it in the past really didn't line up with some of the line items. So she moved, you know, money around into more appropriate line items. And you'll see she does have a $25,000 increase there. She explained it really well in her letter narrative to the board in the supporting documentation. So again, it's a 3% across the board raise there. But you'll see a lot of lines with nothing and some new lines. And like I said, she tried to match up her actual budget with the actual line items that they should fall in. So she's also willing to come before you all if you would like for her to come. So
she's got about a 11 increase above her payroll, it looks like.
yeah. So would you like me to keep her on the list, or she doesn't need to come either?
I don't have any questions for her at this time.
I got a question. You can answer that microfilm. That you know.
Yeah.
Right, and that's a
It's a negative 6,000 now.
yeah. Well, it's zeroed out
Yeah.
for FY26. Yeah.
I said no.
And that's why she did that, because she said, you know, we don't use that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I think she moved most of that to the contracted services line. And like I said, she explains it in her narrative. So,
Did she talk about why the contracted services went up that much?
it's in the narrative. I can't remember right offhand what it is,
Okay.
but I can tell. She hasn't been for a while, so I'll tell her to come see y'all. I don't budget for grants. I've said this every year. You know, that's not, you can't really budget for a grant because you don't know if you're going to get it.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, court-appointed special advocates, same as last year. Victim witness, we've got a new victim witness coordinator, different from last year, but that program, it's a $70,000 grant for it's both state and federal money, and I've got the entire program $1 below that grant. So the grant covers everything. Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, everything's the same as last year, just increase in salaries. So the bottom line for courts is a $47,000 increase over last year. Any questions? Public safety, this is a big one. This is law enforcement, EMS. This is the sheriff's law enforcement budget. Again, quite a, you know, these are big numbers, but he's got 44 employees, so that's a 3% raise there. He's showing some increases in different line items, conference education. The one anomaly about this budget is the vehicle fuel line. That's for all county vehicles. It's always been under his budget, under the sheriff's budget, and so not all of that is attributable to law enforcement. That's, that's planning and land use, building, the EMS, ALS vehicle, chief's car, any county vehicle gets fuel there. And Patrick will be here on the 27th, I believe it is. Another grant that I don't budget for, school resource officer. Again, that's the only thing that changes there is if the actual officer himself changes, like at the beginning of last year, it was Dan Sanders, who was one of the school resource officers. The other one is Ann Phelps. Ann Phelps is still the school resource officer, but Dan got moved up to investigator position, so Kevin Keeve took his position as a school resource officer. And, when you bring somebody else in, you don't bring them in at the same salary. Their salary is based on their number of years of experience. And so that's why the numbers may be a little bit different. You'll see the actual from FY24 was more than in the approved for FY25, but that's because they changed in turnover, employee turnover, and the replacement actually, had more experience and deserved a higher salary. So that's why that's like that. But again, only thing there is increased salaries. A couple more grants that that I don't budget for. Fire departments. Matt has Matt talks to the volunteer fire department chiefs. They've asked for a 10% increase, and you gave them 10% last year. In my mind, that's money well spent. Other counties have total contributions more than that. And our 3 fire departments are great. They work together great. They train together. It's almost like it's one fire department instead of 3. Back when I got in the department back in 1982 in Upper Lancaster, it was a lot of territorialism. If we had a fire on Pinkersville Road, we would race to beat Kilmarnock to Pinkersville Road. But it's not like that now. I mean, everybody, they work together great, and they do a fantastic job. I mean, you can look at the old tavern here. That building should have burnt to the ground, and they did a great job saving it. Same thing with the buildings in Kilmarnock. That whole thing probably should have been leveled by the fire, and they were able to save a portion of it. So they do a great job, but they're asking for a 10% increase. I've reflected that there. Contribution to rescue squads, Matt also has increased this line item by $57,000. It's always been $115,500. It's been that way ever since I've been preparing budgets, and I think the rationale has been that we have a paid crew, so maybe the contributions to the volunteer squads would be level. Matt, in his write-up in the narrative, explains that they've got some maintenance issues with their buildings, and that this line item, as I said, has not been increased, and he's asking for a $57,000 increase there for the 2 volunteer rescue squads. And Matt will be here on the 25th to explain further, which leads into his paid rescue line. And again, this is more hourly than salary, and as I said, the hourly rates he's increased by 5% to keep us competitive, because like I said, since he's been chief, he's operated with 2 vacant full-time positions, and it's not for lack of trying, it's just from lack of an available pool of qualified people. And all the local counties are pulling from the same pool, and you have to remain competitive. And our health insurance package is very competitive, and that's another reason why I did not want to pass any of that increase on to the employees this year.
Don, do you know the last time he asked for an increase to the rescue squad contribution?
I don't believe that. I've been doing this budget since 2018, and I believe that number's been 115.5 since
The whole
then.
time?
The whole time.
All right.
I can go back and check that, but I can't I can't
I don't
recall
remember
an
that
increase.
changing.
What's that?
I don't remember that being any different.
Yeah,
If it's been that long, then that's not too much of an increase.
yeah.
How are we now compared to the other counties as far as paying our EMS people?
I think we're competitive because we haven't
I know we
lost.
looked at it, what, last year, year before last,
Yeah, well, Matt's always looking at it, and that's why, he proposes more or less an hourly rate for his folks, because he has a lot of overtime, because being two full-time positions short, and the part-time people can't fill all of that, vacant time slot, so his full-time people get a lot of overtime, and overtime's paid by the hour.
Yeah.
So, so he keeps on track of that, and he keeps us competitive. As I said, our health insurance is competitive. John helped me with sending a request to the state for an actuarial summary to give our EMS folks the hazardous duty retirement supplement that law enforcement has as a perk for them, and the goal is to get that information back and get that in place by July 1. So, as I said, Matt stays on top of this, and I'm confident that what he recommends keeps us competitive. Another grant that I don't budget for. The one grant that I do budget for is the Local Emergency Management Program grant. We've always gotten that. It's only $7,500, so I do budget for that one. Public safety radio, you'll see a big difference here is with the new radio system that we're currently in the midst of installing. We've got lease on towers for the space for our radios, so that's why that number has jumped up.
By the time that project's finished, this will be obsolete and we'll have to start over.
I hope not, because that project is right around $5 million. That's where it's going to end up. So,
You'll go to P26.
Department of Forestry, we're required by state code to pay, I think it's 9 cents for every acre of timberland in the county, so that if we do have a wildfire breakout, the Department of Forestry will send the bulldozer or plow, as they call it. Again, that's required by state code. Local emergency services, that's another MAT line item for things that are outside his normal operating, such as disaster recovery. If we have a tornado or something, we will automatically appropriate it's either $25,000 or $50,000 to that disaster recovery line, which allows him to get state resources in here to help us out. One thing, the CERT program, the Community Emergency Response Team, in years past has been a part of this, of Matt's overall budget. They kind of struck out on their own last year as a standalone group. They're still a standalone group, but because of what they do, I still include them in this public safety budget, but they're level funded request of $8,600.
Hey, Don, on the
Yes.
forestry stuff, do they ever update the acres there? Because I would think our acres are going down, but.
I'm sure they do. I don't know how often they do.
Okay.
I'll try to find that out.
It's
I don't
not
know.
a big money, but
Yeah.
it's just odd that it hadn't gone down a little bit.
Yeah. This is the jail of the sheriff's budget. Again, just salaries, the 3% increase there. It's 14 full-time employees in the jail. Juvenile probation and detention. A lot of these have ties to state code. The Juvenile Detention Center, they take a 5-year average of the amount of services that we use with them and create their estimate. So that's a 5-year average estimate. Little increase there over last year. I can never remember that acronym, what that stands for, but that's Mike McNamara, you don't know that acronym offhand, do you?
I'm at a loss on that one.
Yeah, Virginia Juvenile Criminal something Academy.
That's a doozy. If it's over 4 letters, it's too many.
Yeah, so anyway, that's, again, that has state code ties to it. So, contribution to the court service unit, that's the probation office expense. Building inspection, no increase there other than salaries. Again, we had budgeted for a third building inspector a couple years ago. The 2 inspectors that we have now, you know, they don't think we need that third position. And until they tell me that we do, you know, we can save that money there. Animal control, you'll see it's a decrease in part-time. A couple years ago, we had to have a part-timer stay there in the mornings because we were allowing outside groups to come and walk the animals. That kind of came to an abrupt end when one of the animals attacked one of those volunteers. But we've only had 2 animal control officers operate that department 365 days a year. And so that part-time person that we had 2 years ago has moved to full-time there, and he's younger, and it fits into a succession plan for that department because our 2 main animal control officers, Jamie Abbott and Michelle Lackert, you know, aren't going to be around forever. So we've got a third younger person there who's actually been sworn in as an animal control officer, and he's going next week to the Rappahannock Regional Criminal Justice Academy for his training because animal control officers are sworn law enforcement. Josh Akers, yep. And if you don't know Josh, he wears a size 6X, so he can handle most any animal that
Don, have they built that animal control, the volunteer one?
Oh, there was an article in last week's paper about that. I don't know if you saw that. What was it, Northern Neck Partners for Pets? You know, the board approved a special exception many years ago to build a no-kill shelter off of Devil's Bottom Road. They haven't started building the shelter yet. The first thing they built was their fundraising pavilion. But the article in the paper last week, I think it was, it's very informative.
I'll look it up.
You should go back and read that. So.
That property's just down from Laurel Point on the opposite side of the
Yep.
road. Isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So. And I'll tell you the other thing about Josh, the third animal control officer. You know, we purchased. They have run their vehicles forever, and we bought a new vehicle for Michelle several years ago because hers, the transmission fell out on the road one day, and we got that fixed, and then it actually caught on fire. But and then Jamie's truck had problems. We got him a new truck last year. Jamie's old truck, we carried to a couple different repair shops in the area. Nobody could figure out what was wrong with it. Josh fixed it. It was it's like a 2006 Dodge Dually with a diesel engine. He fixed it. And that's what he drives now, is that Jamie's old truck. So it's been a good addition. So the last item in the public safety is medical examiner. You know, for every person's body who gets sent to have an autopsy at the state level, we get charged $20. And there will be, when the FY25 audit is done, you'll see a column under actual for unclaimed remains, because I can recall at least 3 in the last year remains that nobody claimed. And when nobody claims the remains, the judge orders the sheriff to take custody and dispose of the body, and the county has to pay for it. So our arrangement is with Curry Funeral Home, and they charge, it's $1,200, I think, for cremation. And so I know it's been at least 3 in FY '25. So you'll see that. I typically come to you all in June every year with a list of supplemental appropriations, and you'll see that in June for FY '25.
Is that because they have no known contact or something?
Yeah. Now, we do, Jim Cornwell has, in the order that is written that the judge signs, it does have a clause in that order that says if any family members are discovered later, we have the ability to go back and try to, collect on that expense. So overall, there's an $863,000 increase in public safety. Public Works, that is the convenience center sites and general properties, maintenance. Again, you'll see increases from salary. We've got 2 full-time people here and 11 part-time. This is the dump site workers. Donald's gone through, he's increased the waste management maintenance service contract. The Lively Woodyard contract reflects the new price that you all approved a few months ago. And so overall, $115,000 increase in
Are we
that.
anticipating any additional staff needs in the new facilities?
We will probably have to go to another full-time.
That'll be next year? Or-
Yeah, it will probably be FY '27, yeah. We'll probably add 1, maybe 2 full-time people, but we actually have, I think, at least 1 part-timer who'd be willing to move to full-time. But we do have a lot of part-time people who are, older, and they don't want full-time. They're just doing it, part-time to have something to do, and they can't make a whole lot of money because it'll mess the Social Security up. But they just, so we'll always have a certain number of those folks, but we will have to increase full-time once that expansion is complete at Kilmarnock. General properties, this is maintenance position. Again, you'll see a decrease here in health insurance because we do have 1 unfilled position. That's a maintenance assistant. I contracted out a lot of the grass cutting last year for our different sites, so I didn't really need to fill that position, but we'll look at filling that during the next fiscal year. Again, I did the estimates on this general property line, and I based it heavily on FY '24 actuals. Overall, $126,000, $520 increase.
Don, what's the lease on public ramp?
What's what?
Lease on 5420.
Where we're at? Oh, that's the lease on the public boat ramp at Windmill Point. We pay, it's $200 a month. It's $2,400 a year. That's what that is.
So when we get these parks up, is that the area that cost will go in right here to maintain those? And
Yes, it would go under that department,
okay.
general properties. Yep. And again, I said, I contracted out the grass cutting on a lot of folks at Windmill Point, Carter's Cove last year, and all of that went in this department.
Here's your 1-minute sign.
What's that? It's gonna pick up now. Health and welfare, here we go. All right. Health Department, $12,000 increase. That's tied to state code.
Starting to sound like St. Davis.
Yeah, not a whole lot you can do there. Free Health Clinic is asking for a $41,000 increase this year. They have, Jeannie has a formula that she uses to come up with the requests for each county, and you all level funded them last year. They're asking for a $41,000 increase.
I must say something about that. I think we should grant that to her this time because we've been holding her to level funding, I think, the last 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should grant that.
It's a working document.
All right.
Community Services Board, again, that's got state code connections. That's, not a whole lot you can do there. tied to state code. Bay agents asking for a small increase, $2,529. Legal aid works, after they finally got back on the budget, they are holding it level. So, the Haven is asking for a $440 increase for FY '26. Comprehensive Services Act, I've seen this fluctuate anywhere from $400,000 a year to close to $1 million, and it's based on, like I talked about earlier, the children who cannot attend regular public schools for whatever reason, whether it's a health issue, whether it's a court-ordered issue, but the county's still on the hook for providing education for them, and so that's why that number varies so greatly. But based on our actual FY '24, I think $700,000 is a realistic number for FY '26. Social services, it's a $157,000 increase, but we're only worried about the local portion of that, which is $1,137,677. And I can tell you from past experience, ever since I've been doing the budget, they've never spent their entire budget. So, it's reflected in the budget, but I can almost guarantee you they'll come in under. Boys and Girls Club of America, they are asking for a $5,000 increase. Now, if you look at the actuals from FY '24, the grant, the contribution was $45,000. The actual is $71,634. The difference is, you all may remember Philip Mumford coming to the board several years ago asking the county to be the fiscal agent for a separate grant that they had. So that's what that additional money is. That's the pass-through money for the grant that they received, but the county has to act as fiscal agent for them. So the grant monies come to the county, and the county sends those grant monies to the Boys and Girls Club. Haven't really figured out a good way to separate that, but that's probably something I need to figure out moving forward. But takeaway here is they are asking for a $5,000 increase from FY '25. Healthy Harvest Food Bank is asking for level funding. So overall, $225,000 increase there. But most of that's in social services, which, is probably not going to happen. This is non-K through 12 public education, RCC, level funded. Recreation and culture. The Y is asking for level funding at $50,000. Museums, the Mary Ball Museum or Langston, Virginia Historical Society, I think is the way they prefer to be known. They are asking for a $500 increase in the contribution. We're showing a small increase for electrical services because we do pay for the electricity for the old clerk's office across the street. Library is trying something new this year. I haven't seen this. Usually they come in with a $10,000 or $12,000 ask for an increase. They split the difference somehow this year. They're asking for a $3,990 increase, but it's not the usual increase that we see. So Alice Cooper will be here on the 25th.
She's going to come in and explain it. I met with them, and they talked about some of their budget, and they're going to come in and explain some things.
What did we do last year? Did we level fund?
You level funded them last year.
Yeah.
Yep. And the youth club, Dreamfields, is asking for a $5,000 increase. They were $10,000 for many years. They got bumped to $15,000 a few years ago, and now they're asking for $5,000.
Didn't we, through the school system, fund them for them lights?
The school system paid for the lights. Now, we have made sure in the sewage pump station design that Dreamfields is covered in the new sewage pump station for the new high school. So, that may be an offset to this. We're making sure we're covering the sewer, and that's always been a problem for them because their restrooms down there have had issues over the years when they have tournaments and a lot of people, and so making sure that their sewer is covered with the new high school pump station is a pretty big deal. But Chris Braley will be here. I can't remember whether it's Tuesday or Thursday, the 25th or 27th. So, but overall in this department, just a small, let me see, is that right? Yeah.
What's y'all's feeling on that? I mean, I know we're gonna talk about this later, but I just want my peace of mind.
What, on the
But
youth club?
Yeah,
I
no,
don't, I mean, I don't have any heartburn at this point, but I
Yeah,
Yeah, I
mean,
don't either.
I don't have any problem with,
okay.
If we had to provide those facilities and all ourselves, it'd be a lot more, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot more.
yeah.
And I was going to say the same thing about the fire departments, and I didn't, but I'm glad you brought that up. If we, if we had to provide paid fire departments, I
It would
mean,
be a lot
it would
more.
be multi-million dollars.
Yeah.
And that $400-some-thousand is, a
Yeah.
really good investment.
So the fire departments, that's a good deal for us.
Yeah, because at one time we thought we had to do that.
Yeah. Community, let me see where we're at. Let me make sure I haven't lost any of my notes. I made notes in my copy. Yeah. Okay, community development. Here's economic development. We brought this, this department back. That 60,000 you see from FY '24, I brought a request to you all back then. The EDA was requesting 60,000 to help them with their grants that they issue to small businesses. And that money came from the Poorhouse Tract Fund. You will recall that the Poorhouse Tract money was established back in the 90s from the sale of the old Poorhouse Tract. It's been sitting in a separate account. It's got 330,000 and change in that account. That 60,000 actually was transferred from the Poorhouse Tract Fund to the general fund. The general fund writes the check to the EDA. The Economic Development Authority, which John has taken over from me as part of his duties, they may come back with another request. But the way I look at this is that Poorhouse Tract money has been sitting there for years. It was always earmarked for economic development, and it hasn't been spent. So instead of writing in, additional general fund money, I think the best way to handle this is to have the EDA, or if John needs money to, say for instance, create a economic development website, we could bring that to the board at any time during the year and ask for a transfer from the Poorhouse Tract Fund to fund these different items.
What's the balance in that?
It's like 330 some thousand.
After the 60?
That's what it is. Let me see. Oh, that's the wrong one.
Well, Don, looking for that. No, that's, I won't say that. I said it to Don, but I won't say that. I said, I've told you a couple of times, I don't say anything. I started to, but I decided not to.
I can't
It
hear you.
doesn't operate that way anymore. You handling things fine and above board. So I don't need to bring up your past.
All right, I can't, let me see. No, there it is. That's what I was looking for.
So basically, really what you're saying is if the EDA needs whatever, money
Yeah.
for something, then John just comes back to the board and says, hey, I need to transfer X amount of dollars out of the Poorhouse Tract Fund.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's,
The website is one of the things that's going to, cost us.
Yeah, so I do recall when you guys approved that $60,000, some of you had expressed an interest in the EDA modifying its grant program to be more impactful for the small businesses. And in this year, I would say that the grants that the EDA did provide small businesses were incredibly impactful to those businesses, primarily because the EDA has been very discerning about not just the amount of money it's giving to businesses, but in me helping the businesses come to them with a more competitive proposal for a project that actually shows expansion, that shows some sort of business growth or employment. And the EDA's new chairman, Tom Richardson, is in the process of, well, the EDA has set a subcommittee to look at the recommendations of the 2035 plan to make substantive changes to how the EDA does business, the resources that it provides businesses, and Tom's really taken that and run with it. They're exploring setting up a micro-enterprise loan program, providing more business support resources, not just funding resources, but business support resources. And then you're right about the website. That's probably going to be a considerable expense. And I've talked with Glenn. We're hoping to this year kind of work out what it's going to take to get that thing created, what it's going to cost, what kind of platforms are out there. Also looking at the county's website and be ready to go in 2026 to implement something.
$307,298.40. Next item, Rappahannock River Basin Commission. I think Eldon James in his letter said that it's 27 years in a row of level funding.
I'll finish up my chairmanship on this committee next couple weeks.
We get a lot for that $1,000.
I've been serving as chair for like 5 years of that commission, all through the pandemic.
Land Use Administration, this is Olivia's budget. Again, you'll see just increases, $3,000 for salary. There is one unfilled position in there, an environmental codes officer. Probably going to fill that as soon as we get an office cleaned out and ready for that person. She is requesting.
Why are these health insurance decreases different across the board?
Because I said
Some of them have been like 7,000 or 8,000. Some have been like 4.
it depends on the number of employees that department has.
Okay.
I mean, this department has 5, but has 1 unfilled position, so it's 4. And as I said earlier, as part of my way of trying to not pass on that health insurance increase to the employees, I only budgeted for 85 employees taking advantage of the health insurance benefit as opposed to 95 like I did last year. And if a department has a vacant position, I did not include that health insurance premium for that vacant position. So that's why you'll see that decrease there. And it varies based on the number of employees in that department.
I understand it now.
Yeah.
This would be a good time to plug the internship that she has in her department, right?
Okay. John just mentioned to me, last year we did do an internship here at the county for 2 high school students. We plan on doing that again this year. One would be a high school student that we're looking to be focused on this environmental codes position. Maybe trying to grow our own, and so to speak. And so that would be one of the intern positions. The other intern position, we're actually looking at a college student that could come in and work with Glenn on IT as part of their college studies. So that's the 2 intern positions that we're looking at for this summer. Did I leave anything out?
Yep, that's perfect.
Yeah. So Olivia is asking for increase in conferences and education and in office supplies, and she'll come and address those for you all. She's going to be here anyway on the 27th, so she'll talk to you then. Department of Housing, again, this is Tina Rima's department, again, just salary increases. Planning District Commission, level funding. The Broadband Authority is level funded at $100,300. If we get to a point where we need to find a few $1,000s, reduction.
What are they doing with this money? Because have been dysfunctional, it seems.
Well, the They had trouble getting enough members for a quorum. You all appointed 2 new members at your January meeting. They met in February, and
We haven't had an update in I don't know how long.
well, they're going to give you one. It may not be at the March meeting, it may be at the April meeting, because we're waiting on the BEAD announcement. You know, once that BEAD announcement comes out, they'll be able to provide more information than they can if they come before you.
What
before.
exactly are they spending money on at this point?
Well, the lease for the spot on the tower for the CARES Act wireless broadband equipment that BTS was running, that's where this money was coming out of, that monthly lease. It was like $1,800 a month.
We canceled that now, right?
Well, he's gone out of business, but we're still leasing that spot because that's where our emergency services radio equipment is going to go. They're going to take the broadband equipment down and replace it with our emergency services equipment.
Basically, they won't be spending that money then?
Well,
It'll go over to?
It'll go over to Matt's budget.
Budget.
Yeah, so, you know, that's why I say, here's one where we could probably reduce it and not have any effect. Again, it's a working budget as we move through this, you know, however you all decide to handle these NGOs, if you make any changes or tweaks, here's an area where we may be able to pick up a few dollars.
Kevin said he hadn't been spending a lot of money.
No.
Yeah.
And they have their own account
Yeah.
outside of this as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, that's, was it
Off
30
the
or
record-
60?
Off the record,
I don't know if you can be off the record.
I was in the same room Tuesday, we had a retirement lunch on Tuesday with Hal Cosner. He never mentioned broadband.
Well,
And I tell you, I said, man, this is the
get
first.
Starlink?
I got in the car and left. I said, man, you can sit back.
well,
Did he finally get Starlink?
that's an option for him. I don't think he's gotten it, but Keith Kidd is the new chairman of the Broadband Authority, and
We mentioned it
Yeah.
on him. We specifically talked to him about Howard, and he said he was going to reach out to him.
yeah,
so.
we actually had Howard call in to a Broadband Authority meeting, and he spoke his piece, and so Keith Kidd is actively working on trying to get Howard Kaiser interviewed.
I couldn't believe it. And whole hour and a half, and he never said anything. He just, we just talked. He never said nothing.
You better knock on wood. So, Soil and Water Conservation District, level funding, $15,000. Wetlands Board, Board of Zoning Appeals, they're all level funded. We budget for, I think it's nine Wetlands Board meetings a year, 4 BZA meetings, 11 Planning Commission meetings. Extension Service does show a small increase, $1,033. River Realm is actually a decrease this year. You remember last year it went up 5,000. They're requesting 28,000 this year. So
They added another partner.
yeah, Town of Tappahannock has joined in. And Bay Consortium Workforce Development, this is a figure that they arrive at based on all of the counties that they serve to help them do what they do as far as education for the workforce. So overall, small increase, 13,783. Non-departmental, this is the landfill. Even though we don't use the landfill anymore, we'll be paying for it forever for engineering samples and water samples that are done every year. So that 7,000 is a good number. Enhanced emergency telephone system, Glenn has an increase there of 41,200. Glenn, can you speak to a little bit about that? All right.
Okay. Some of you will remember when we upgraded to the next generation 911 system, the state told us that there was going to be some increase in the monthly network cost when we went from the old Verizon network to the redundant fiber network that AT&T was going to provide. And the deal was that they were going to provide they were going to pick up the difference between what we were paying to Verizon versus what we're going to have to pay to AT&T for the first 2 years. All right, so we finally cut over to the next generation 911 system in February of 2024. So in early 2026, that 2 years of Delta payments from the state is going to end. So what this is reflecting is the last 4 months of having to pay full price to AT&T.
Yeah. And basically, yeah, I mean, we really don't have
Funded mandate.
we don't have a choice. So,
Next generation system, that's that's a statutory requirement.
Yep.
Or we call it temporary funded mandate.
What was you saying about 4 months? You said something, did you say that?
4 months, the increase, in my budget reflects that, that final 4 months of the upcoming fiscal years is, we're paying the full price for the monthly network costs.
But then after that, it reduces.
Say again?
Then after that, it reduces.
No, after that, we continue to pay the full
It'll go up
we
price.
continue to pay.
Yeah, go up. That's
Yeah.
right,
So it's
It'll go up
about
to the full
10,000 a
12 months.
month? Is that what it runs?
I'm sorry?
Is it about 10,000 a month?
No, the recurring network cost is right now it's just under $3,900 a month. I mean, yeah, $3,900 a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the 41 you said represented 4 months, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I might not be to the penny on that, but
Yeah.
Okay.
see, that's 4 months, so, I would think ahead.
Yeah.
What is this gonna cost us?
But
100 and-
it won't be, I think what they're getting at is it won't be 10,000 a month moving forward. It'll be more like the 4,000 a month.
Just under, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't speak to, going ahead 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. I can't really
Right.
speak to what the, cost of living increases that they might ask for.
Right.
4,000.
That's that should be in the contract that they negotiated with Fairfax County that all of the other
Right.
localities in Virginia kind of piggybacked onto.
Right. The cooperative procurement, yep.
Correct.
Bottom line is, we don't have a choice. That's the bottom line.
But it could be a big jump next year.
Well, it would be.
The next budget cycle.
Yeah, it would be, more than likely, it's going to reflect closer to 4,000 a month, so that 41,000 would be more like maybe 48.
48, 50.
Am I?
Let me see if I can find the schedule before I commit to any
Gotcha.
answer there. I'm sure the contract has that broken down by
Okay.
by future years.
Again, this is a working document. Thank you, Glenn. Schools, this is their expense side. Again, level funded, but you can see under FY '26 how their expenses by category break out. And this, at the bottom here, this is not on your printout, but this is something I keep in the spreadsheet. They're estimating 940 students, and if you do the math on that total cost, that's what it comes out to per pupil.
940 kids.
What? Yeah.
940 kids, man, we lost a lot.
Which is actually up a few from 25. So, capital improvements. The usual process is the planning commission hears the capital improvement requests in February. They hold a public hearing in March. They try to vet these requests and prioritize them or move them out to outer years if they think that is justified. The planning commission's meeting in February was snowed out, so they did not have a chance to have that meeting. So they will be meeting next Thursday night for their public hearing. They're going to do it all in 1 month to keep the budget calendar that the board has approved on track. So I gave you a printout too. This is all the supporting documentation for the capital improvement budget. We'll go through here quickly. In FY26, you'll see the schools have the security grant matching funds. This is a 2-bus year for the schools, so instead of being 135, it's 294. The price has increased a little bit from the 271. And they're also adjusting their bus routes and things, and they're looking at alternatives. They may not buy 2, full-fledged school buses. They may buy one, since they're looking at running one bus route, and they may end up buying like a 15-passenger van or maybe some cars. And the reason for that is some of these, extracurricular trips that they take, don't have 70 kids. It may be 10, 15 kids, and they don't need to take a full bus. They could take a 15-person van or something. And those smaller vehicles do not require CDL. So it's easier for them to get drivers for those smaller buses. So what I've told CD is, I really don't care what type of transportation you get with that money. Just don't go over that $294,000. This is the budget number for the new school, $35,025,000. You'll recall that this includes the extra $15 million that the board approved in December of '23. That we'll have to seek additional financing for. And as I've told you previously, more than likely we'll seek another Virginia Public School Authority bond this fall. Davenport and Company will be here on March 27th to go over options for that, as well as this $9,971,000 figure for non-school related capital improvement items, basically the parks that we have planned or are in the process of constructing. And you've seen the handout that I've prepared showing where that number came from with the balances due from existing contracts or from architect engineers' estimates for Carter's Cove and Taylor's Creek, which we have not started yet. So more than likely that $10 million will be something that we try to get in place for the spring, sometime this spring, and more than likely it'll probably be another lease revenue bond facilitated through the EDA. And that also has a benefit to the EDA because the 1/8 of 1% administrative fee that they collect on bond issuances will help build their bank account to fund the grants that they give to local businesses. So not a whole lot here that jumps out. We do have administration building repairs. Since we got the roof fixed, we've had a contractor come in, go through the building, and look at everything that we need to do, such as, replacing sheetrock, replacing plaster, whatever needs to be done. Down in the patrol division, we are looking at excavating on that back wall, the exterior, putting waterproof sealant on that foundation, and then filling that back in to solve the water problems that have existed over the years there. Grand total, all those repairs are $89,580. There's more explanation in that packet and also online. Brett Dawson will be here. Probably going to do the capital improvement budget presentations on April 10th when you all come out for school budget adoption. We talked about different ways of handling this issue, and he's come up with some, they're portable AC units that we could take to the health department, social services, the new courthouse, to cool these buildings if we have an issue with the AC during the summer. So he'll come and talk about that. The EMS ECG monitor and CPR device replacement, that's been on the list for a while, something that has to be done. One thing I'll say, Your overall county budget just lists FY '26. In your handout package, you'll see the 5-year capital improvement budget that the Planning Commission will review next Thursday night, and you'll see what's in the outer years. One thing that they also do is they look at what is requested in FY '26 and make recommendations about maybe pushing something out a year, i.e. moving something from FY '26 to FY '27 for additional thought. So that's something that to keep in mind as well. Social services, they've requested about $139,000 in repairs down there. They've got some explanation in the packet. Here's a big item. You know that the board approved the estimate from Guernsey Tingle to look at a combined sheriff's office EMS building that would be built over here on the other side of the courthouse parking lot. We've gone through that exercise, and this is the estimate that they've come up with. $13,136,848. Now,
Almost doubled in price,
yeah. Now,
or more than doubled in price.
you know, what this doesn't look at is the possibility of using some of the vacated space in the current high school. And to be honest, you know, I think that needs to be looked at, because if the board just ran with building this building, I don't know what the public perception would be if, you know, you spend $13 million to build a new building and you got vacant space at the current high school.
I mean, we bought it to wasn't it like 6 or 7 million before just for EMS?
Yeah, I think, yeah. And but that was just EMS.
Yeah,
That was
we
just an
kinda
EMS
bought it
building,
that
yeah.
place.
And I mean, it's a lot that goes into, you know, designing this building. I mean, Guernsey Tingle brought in a public safety expert who, and I sat at the table, and that public safety expert was asking questions of both Matt from EMS and the sheriff and Jeffrey, and you know, they were speaking a language that, you know, I can't speak fluently, but they were speaking it, and so they did their homework. And of course, now this is not bare bones. They've designed a building that will meet their current needs and stretch into the future. So,
Well, wouldn't we need someone like that with that expertise to tell us what it's gonna cost to convert the high school?
well, I think Guernsey Tingle can do that. We haven't set them to task on doing that. And, you know, to be honest, and I'm just talking out loud now, logistically, it probably would not make sense to try to move the sheriff's office to the high school, because I think they need to be in close proximity to the courts. But the more I've thought about this, maybe county administration moves to the high school. You know, if that was the case, county administration, the building office, you know, that would free up this floor for the sheriff and his administrative staff to locate. And, you know, maybe the board, you know, moves as well. Maybe we turn the commons area into a meeting room. You can certainly get more people in there than you can in this room. Just different thoughts, but, you know, maybe the direction is let's hold off on this until we can get some estimates on what it would cost to maybe renovate the high school. I mean, we know.
This building.
Yeah. I mean, there could be some minor renovation. I know that one of the sheriff's big things has been, you know, security for his people. And that wing is secure. You can put another door when you come through that side entrance. You can put another door there. There was a door there at one time, and the window on the side was where the general district clerks went to that window. And so, you know, again, the sheriff's office could have someone there to determine whether to let somebody in or not. There's also a glass door, lockable door right here on this end. So it would have to be some renovations, but I've never I never thought previously about county administration moving down there, but maybe that's the answer. Maybe county administration moves and the sheriff stays here on this level. I don't know. But I know we're going to have vacant space at the high school. The voter registrar is certainly, a good thing to move her there. Extension upstairs has no ADA access here. They need to move there. EMS could move there out of the rental situation. They've got, a perfectly good metal building behind there that could garage their ALS vehicle. So, again, this is not my decision. I'm just throwing ideas out for you all to consider. But this is what.
My thinking along that line, those lines are, if we're gonna already have some open space that we can fill, why spend 13 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would let the planning commission hear this stuff and kick that down the road where they want to.
Yeah.
I mean,
Are we giving any more thought to joining the jail up there and doing that? I mean, I know it was some discussion one time, but.
Yeah, it has been, and, personally, my thought has always been that when that jail becomes obsolete and, we get to that point of you either build a new jail or you join the regional jail, I think that's the time
Yeah.
to really have that discussion.
But
Yeah, when the regional
are we
jail-
getting close to that now?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know how close we are,
Yeah.
When the regional jail was built, we had that discussion for some reason. I don't remember now why Sheriff Crockett wanted to maintain his jail.
Well, we do get a daily per diem for the jail.
provide our own employees, I mean,
We've got 14 full-time employees there.
control it, it's not a for-profit justice system.
Yeah,
It's pros and cons.
It's not
to
corrupt.
both.
yeah. And the other thing is, when you're,
I would be adamantly opposed to joining the regional jail no matter what, because I adamantly oppose for-profit justice. For-profit prisons are corrupt. Period. There's no way you should incentivize putting people in jail for profit. That is a corrupt process.
and that's why the discussion is,
I'm only one vote, but that's my point of view, and I'm adamant of that point of view.
Well, I don't, presently, unless somebody changed my mind, I'm satisfied with the way it is.
yeah, and from my standpoint, I mean, we got 14 full-time employees there. So as long as that jail passes the Department of Corrections
Yeah.
standards, I'm,
I think that was
I'm
when
good.
the discussion came up a few years ago, came up.
yeah,
We said, okay, we got people down here that, that's working here.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
It-
you can't absolve them,
No.
so.
But if you gotta spend 13 million to build a new building, all of a sudden, that's real money decision.
Yeah, well,
between the two.
Yeah,
This 13 million is not a jail.
yeah, that's not the
Yeah,
deal.
that's not a jail.
Oh, it is, okay.
No, it's
I
not a
thought
jail.
that was part jail.
No,
No,
no, it's not a jail. That is just a combination EMS and Sheriff's Office administrative offices.
Okay,
Not a jail, so.
That's why I was saying 13.
that's what I was thinking,
Yeah.
it was involving the jail.
Yeah, no, if that was going to be a new jail, that number would be, that.
Up that side, okay.
Well, I mean, that's basically, that's the big item in that. Debt service, here, you can see the requested FY '26 numbers. There is a reduction, and that reduction is shown right here. And it's the VRA 2020 bond that was issued to replace the 2014 and 2019 issuances, and right here is the difference. 2025, that payment was $1 million. 2026, the payment is $215,000. So there's your difference in the debt service, and that reflects that decrease right there. Now, moving forward, you'll see the Truist Bank, which was the $5 million non-school related capital improvement items that you borrowed in 2022. That's a 20-year note. This school energy performance bond goes away after this year. Thank God. I'm glad to see that go. That'll be gone. This VRA bond goes away in 2029. But you'll still have the Truist Bank loan for 20 years until 2043. The middle school renovation, that was a 30-year note. BPSA bonds are 30-year notes. So that goes until 2052. And the high school note goes until 2053. That's the debt service schedules for those notes. And when this one goes away, that'll clear up 2 columns, one for the $10 million non-school related capital improvement items that we'll be looking at this year, and then the space here will be for the $15 million fall Virginia Public School Authority bond to account for the extra $15 million that the board approved back in December of '23. So the summary page is just another way of looking at the synopsis page, but it includes the capital improvement budgets, so I'm not going to go through that. But you go back to the synopsis page, and you'll see that, like I said, it ends up projected at 6.12. That's $410,000 short of 7%, which is what a previous board set as a policy, never to let the fund balance as a percentage of total expenditures drop below 7%.
So basically, we're starting out at basically $2 million in the red.
So
Is that what that's saying?
you're going to end up 2 million in the red. You're actually starting out 2.7 million in the red. And I remember telling you, you know, a few years ago when we were building that fund balance, that it wasn't going to always be like that. And I mean, this is what was approved last year in FY25. The audited fund balance began at 7.5, but the projection winds up at 4.8. And, you know, a lot of that had to do with the $2.2 million increase that came from the schools last year. So gentlemen, that is, you know, like I said, you got to either increase revenues or decrease expenditures. I will add that on the increased revenue side, you know, the board has approved the Waller Solar Project from back in 2022. When that was approved, the thought was that, or the schedule was that they would throw the on switch sometime during calendar year 2025, and we would collect $1.5 million that year. That's obviously been delayed. That project has been sold twice as recently as last month. And I'm told by the new owners that they will break ground on that project in 2025. So the Waller project is estimated to bring in $20 million over 30 years, which equates to about 2 cents on the tax rate. That's a 131 megawatt project. We know at some point in time Dominion is going to come for the special exception public hearing. That's a total of 150 megawatts. So you would assume that, you know, that project over 30 years would bring in as much or more than the Waller project. So that's a lot of potential money out there to consider.
The only thing, I hear what you're saying, the only thing, what we facing is really what we gonna do with this fiscal year.
Yeah.
You know, 410,000.
That's right. And neither one of those solar projects,
Yeah.
neither one of them will come to fruition for
No,
FY26.
no,
Yep. But looking down the road, that is, you know, a possible way to increase revenue. So that's all I have, gentlemen. I went a little bit over.
Good night, Mr. Pamela.
But hopefully that gives you a really good, you know, understanding of all of this and
That's some light reading.
and will make your, you know, your considerations easier. So moving forward. So your next meeting is March 25th at 5 p.m., Tuesday, March 25th.
That's our regular, or the Tuesday.
Yeah, that's a Tuesday meeting. Right now I've got 15 presenters scheduled. I schedule them in 10-minute blocks. I've told them to keep their comments to 5 minutes to give you all time to ask questions. And I'll get that list out, that agenda, sometime next week of who's coming on what day. And like I've done in the past, I'll give you, you know, the breakdown, the page numbers and everything to look at. So, I think that's everything that I wanted to hit on. Does anybody have any questions?
Easy.
No, sir.
Mr. Bellis? Mr. Lee?
Nope.
All right, Mr. Palin? I move for a motion to adjourn.
Let's do it.
All in favor?
Yeah.
All right, we adjourn.